It's funny because we've been doing this long enough now that the spidey senses start tingling, right?
Yeah.
The second when someone gets to it's like their first excuse is already like, oh, okay, where are we going with this? And then on the second excuse, it's like, oh, here we go.
Hello and welcome to episode 495 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. I'm Ben Olson. With me is Nathan Fox. We're the co-founders of LSATdemon.com and the LSAT Demon Daily podcast. The upcoming April LSAT registration deadline is February 27th. The rule is pretty simple there. If your practice tests are where you want them officially, then go ahead and register for that April LSAT. If they're not, just wait. Your most important asset in the application process is your GPA and your LSAT score. So don't sign up when you're not ready.
It's amazing how many people sign up when they're not ready. And it's one of the main, I would say it's easily in the top 5 mistakes that people make in LSAT prep is just signing up before they've even really prepped. I got one that I saw last night that was like, I'm embarrassed at how bad I've scored on my 2 previous tests, and I'm taking it again in April. And I'm like, well, hold on a second. Let's talk about your practice test scores. Because if your practice test scores aren't where you want them to be, then you really should not be already scheduled to take it in April. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I got another one that was, a very common from some older student, really worried about prep because they're going back, I'm going back to school. I haven't studied for anything for 10 years, the typical thing that slightly older students like to talk about. And it was like, I really don't have very much time to get up to speed. I need to get up to speed right away because I'm taking the test in April or June or whatever it was. And it's like, okay, so you guys are definitely putting the cart before the horse. If you're not already LSAT prepping, then you have no idea when you should sensibly be taking the test. You just randomly signed up and then tried to get ready for it.
Yeah.
That's not how you should be thinking. You should be thinking, let's get ready for it, then sign up. Anyway, yeah, look at your practice test scores on February 25th. And if your practice test scores on February 25th are the kinds of scores that would get you into the types of schools you want to go to at the price you want to pay, and you can check out our scholarship estimator to reality check that for yourself, then sign up. And if not, then don't. Very, very simple analysis.
I agree. And I do want to emphasize what you said earlier. You said it's one of the top 5 mistakes that people make. I think it's up there because it has all this trickle down effect, right? As soon as you sign up for a test, now you're subconsciously committed to that or consciously committed to that. And you have to rush your prep, which then causes you to rush on the sections, which then causes you to rush on the questions. Everything is just then thrown out of whack.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, real quick before we get into the content of today's show, if you want to do us a favor, would you please just subscribe? Most people who listen to the show don't subscribe. And if you want to be our friend, you just hit subscribe. And we really appreciate it because it helps all the algorithms understand that we're creating valuable content. We do work hard on the show to, every week provide you with something that we think is useful. If you want to do us a solid, just hit that subscribe button for us. Okay. First item on the agenda, you want to read it? It's from Isaac. The subject is advice on official test dates.
Yeah. Hi, Ben and Nathan. First of all, thank you for creating LSAT Demon. Your approach is very calm and intuitive, which I really appreciate. I'm emailing because I don't know whether I should sign up to take an official exam in April or June or both. I got a cold diagnostic of 158 last September and focused on drilling until I took a second practice test in early January and got a 162. Interesting that you took a test in September and then not again until January.
Just drilled all the way until January? That's a long time without doing a timed test. I mean...
Or timed sections, hopefully? It's unclear, I guess.
And if you do timed sections, then you might as well merge them into a timed test so that you can just kind of keep tabs on roughly where your 120 to 180 score is. Be nice, actually, Ben. It's just kind of an idea for the Demon. I know we've already talked about stuff along these lines, but what if your timed sections were just kind of automatically merged into like a rolling 120 to 180 LSAT score? It was
Yeah,
just kind of like a
that that would be the
ballpark.
final step. One thing that does happen right now is if you do Demon's Choice for time sections, it will automatically choose sections from the same test so that you can then merge them as soon as you're done. So if you're letting the Demon take the lead, it will set you up to get scores after you do
Yeah.
3 time sections.
I guess what I'm saying is we don't even really need to merge them because we could just give a rough ballpark, right? It's not like the scoring scales change so dramatically from test to test to test.
Mm,
It's kind of like any two LRs and any one RC.
mm,
We could give you just a number that's like rough.
mm-hmm.
It's just,
This
it's
is your
a
estimated score right now based on
164
your, yeah,
asterisk. It's just like that means that, you know,
or a range. Yeah.
or a range or whatever, but so that they didn't even have to take the step of merging. They would just be like doing time sections and they'd have kind of a ballpark where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just an idea. And yeah, I mean, I know there is advice out there. I think that one online prep company that shall not be named has a curriculum that involves a hell of a lot of like theoretical studying before you're ever allowed to practice.
Mm.
And that's definitely not our philosophy here. Our philosophy here is, hey, if you've got 60 or 80 practice tests to work with, you might as well get cracking on practice tests. You know, not all the time, but not none of the time either.
Yeah.
Mix in timed sections throughout your studies and do a full test once in a while, once a month,
Mm.
once every other
Well,
month. I don't know,
yeah. Yeah.
but not like from all the way from September to January to not do a test. Anyway, back to Isaac, just to recap. Isaac got a 162 on a practice test in January with 95% accuracy, which is a great place to be. Then what happened?
Okay. So a couple weeks later, he took another test a couple weeks later, getting a 168 with 93% accuracy. And most recently took another one and got a 164 with 93% accuracy. Isaac writes, my goal is a 170 plus.
If I could just interrupt right there, I bet Isaac is really excited about the 168, 164. Like Isaac thinks that the 168 and the 164 are better than the 162.
Mm.
But because the accuracy dipped down a little bit, like that's not really the road to 170. The road to 170 is to keep your accuracy high. So 162 with 95% accuracy is really exciting. 164 with 93% accuracy is actually still exciting, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's not horrible. I mean, 93% is decent, but it did drop.
I guess
what
I'm
would be
more
even more
worried,
exciting is if it went up, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of more worried about the dip in accuracy than I am excited about the 2 more LSAT points, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So Isaac says, my goal is a 170 plus. Basically, I'm wondering if it makes sense for me to sign up for an official attempt in April, given that I haven't yet hit my goal score on a practice test, or if I should spend a few more weeks studying and really get confident for June. Okay, it's not about getting confident, it's about getting scores. But anyways, if it doesn't fall the way I want in June, I figure I can always retest in September. Thanks, Isaac.
You're certainly on the way, Isaac, to your 170 goal. If you've never taken any official tests and if you really, really think you need to apply this fall so that you can start law school next fall, then it is kind of time. Like it's that time in the cycle where you need to start using your official attempts. So I wouldn't hate the idea of Isaac taking a shot at April, but like Isaac, don't think that if you have never achieved a 170 before you take that April test, that you're just going to magically walk in there and score 170 on the April test. That's not how it works. So if you were going to sign up for the April test, the idea would be, I'm going to prep hard for this April test and then, maybe withdraw if I don't score in my goal range before the April test.
Yeah. So I would go into it thinking that what you're doing is buying an option
Right.
to take the test in April for $220.
Yep. And that's a lot of money for some people, for a lot of people, but it's also not a lot of money relative to the $220,000 that you might end up getting in law school scholarships because of the right
Easily.
LSAT.
Yeah.
And if we think about the remaining tests for 2025, which we just talked about this on the last episode of Thinking LSAT, that we now know all the dates for the rest of the year, they don't really change that much from year to year. So we pretty much knew that this was roughly going to be the schedule. There's a test in April, there's a test in June, and then what is it? It's August, September, October, November.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
So one thing that Isaac it seems like he's kind of getting it, but kind of not getting it. Because he's saying, I figure if it doesn't fall the way I want in June, I can always retest in September. But that should be your plan already. Your plan already should be, if you are going to take it in April, you should definitely also take it in June and probably also take it in September. Because law schools are only going to care about your highest score.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get 175 on your first attempt or whatever, then sure, just cancel all those upcoming tests. And you don't need to sign up for those tests until the registration deadline. But you shouldn't be thinking, okay, I'm going to have one emergency backup. You should be thinking, I'm going to treat these official tests as if they're just another practice test. And I understand that there's a lot of variance in my practice tests. So I want to go in knowing that, half the time it's not going to go my way on any official test. And that's true of your retake as well. And that's true of your third attempt as well. And that's true of your fourth attempt as well. So, if you get unlucky on 2 or 3 coin flips, then that means you need to take the test 3 or 4 times. And if you get unlucky on 4 coin flips, then you need to retake it a 5th time. So everybody should pretty much have all of those dates on their calendar.
I agree 100%. So
right. It's almost like this should actually be part of like Demon 101. It's like, hey, put all the application deadlines on your calendar right now.
Application deadlines?
Test dates and application deadlines. Registration deadlines.
For the test.
For the test. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, what are the official test dates? What are the registration deadlines for those test dates? Mm-hmm. And you should be planning like, okay, I might have to take the LSAT around this time, this date. Mm-hmm. And I will figure that out 6 weeks roughly ahead of that. What's the registration deadline for that test administration? Mm-hmm. And if you put all of that on your calendar right now, which, Ben, where do we have all of those dates?
It's lsat.link/dates. But I'm thinking that the Demon should just do this all for you. It gives you the next 5 dates. It gives you the next 5 registration dates.
Yeah.
And it tells you the week before, sign up for this or don't sign up for this.
I do think we can just automate that for people and let the Demon do those reminders and let the Demon keep track of everything. Of course, people have personal calendars, but
they can just click add to Google or whatever, right? And
right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's make that happen for people, because then we can just make it easier, so that people, and then it would be like baked in so that people would understand that that's just part of the process. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You guys just don't have to be keeping track and deciding when you're going to take it and all that. More like get to work doing your prep. And then when the registration deadlines approach, we'll let you know. And if you're happy with your practice test scores, you can sign up. But you should also add all the official test date administrations to your calendar so that you can like avoid planning weddings on those days, vacations on those days, other commitments. Mm-hmm. In case you're going to end up wanting to take an official crack at the test.
I agree. So getting back to Isaac, you should sign up for April and then withdraw if you have not broken 170 yet.
I think so, because you're close enough that it seems very, you have had a 168 and you do have over 90% accuracy. Yeah. So it seems like you're getting it. So yeah, then go ahead. Like I would sign up and be willing though to walk away, because I don't, if my best practice test that I ever achieve, like let's say Isaac never breaks that 168 between now and the April test, he certainly doesn't want to walk in there to the April test trying to do something he's never done before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even less likely that it will happen because of that extra
Exactly.
effort.
Right.
Okay, and so then to keep going with Isaac's advice, put on your calendar the June LSAT, the August LSAT, the September LSAT, and the October LSAT.
Yep.
Put all 5.
Yep.
And then, hey, hopefully you don't have to do the last 4.
Yeah. But if you don't take April, then you need to add November to your
You need
calendar.
to add November. Yep.
Because the presumption is that when you sit for your first official test, you are prepared to also sit for the next 4 official tests.
Yep.
Imagine how, like, I think it should feel very comforting to people.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is just the beginning of a journey, not the, oh my God, it's got to happen now.
Yeah. Nothing different, nothing special. And if I happen to have a really good day, then fine. Maybe I just cancel, like I take all those other things off of my calendar. My
Yeah, you're
calendar
not
has opened up.
registered for them. You're just putting
Right.
them on your Google Calendar.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh no, I actually have those days are actually free.
Yeah.
But you're not putting so much pressure on any one attempt. You're just walking in there knowing that you have backups and backups and backups.
Mm-hmm.
Hope that is helpful, Isaac.
Yeah. This next one is from Aaron. The subject is tips from a departing demon. Attack each argument.
I'm listening to episode 493, and you just said, read like me. And I had to chuckle. Read like me. Me's capitalized there.
Yeah.
As if it's
odd.
like Jesus talking. When taking the test on Saturday, the voice in my head as I read was not mine. It was yours. And when I realized it, I was discombobulated for a few seconds. Who is talking here? It's the demon. I would read a sentence and think, okay, that's fine. Sure, makes sense. If A, then B. Got it. Then picking a choice, I was saying, who cares? We don't know anything about that. It doesn't matter. No one said that. Yes, this makes sense. So thanks for the assist and get out of my head now. Because this is someone who successfully killed the LSAT and is stepping away.
Yeah. Hey, you don't want the voice out of your head. You're going to need this voice in law school.
Yeah, no kidding. We've heard so many, like our alums, boy, if you go to those admissions classes that Leslie is already teaching in Demon Live, and you'll find out that we've got, our alums who are in law school. Like I think Carl was at a recent one. Carl's like finishing up at Yale right now.
Yeah.
Carl, these people are like very consistently say that what they learned in LSAT prep helped them a lot in law school. And it's going to help you in legal practice too, because you're spotting bullshit arguments.
That's your job.
I was thinking just today that we could, as we're working on writing new practice questions in the Demon, we could make those questions a lot more like about somebody who's trying to make a deal with you and like scam you, like make an offer to you that looks good, but then there's a problem with the offer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So your job is then to cut
like
through
instead of the questions
smoke and
being
mirrors.
about bees or whatever, something just kind of like abstract or some other weird topic.
Yeah.
They could be about like a contract, like a home purchase.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of agreements out there, right? They're like, oh, we will do this. And you're kind of like, why are they offering to do this?
Yeah, like a mutual fund prospectus or an insurance contract or Apple Care or whatever, where it's like, boy, should I spend this extra money? Let me think it through. What's this going to actually do for me?
Yeah, the terms there and what is covered and what's not covered, and paying really close attention to what's covered, because there's
yeah,
it always sounds bigger than it actually is. Yeah.
It could be like Scamco. And they're making, but then here's the offer. And then the offer sounds like really good.
Yeah.
Except when you actually read it through, there's something glaringly wrong with it. Thanks, Aaron. Glad it's working out for you. Next one is from James. Subject is sixth attempt appeal. Should I try for it?
My answer right now is yes. I don't see what you have to lose. But, anyways, I am in the middle of my law school admissions cycle, and it's been going okay. 2 A's and 2 R's, so 2 acceptances and 2 rejections. I'm waiting for one more school. Ooh, so you only applied to 5 schools, sounds like. I currently have my highest score on record being 150 low. Okay. I took all 5 attempts, which isn't good, but I was extremely immature and wanted to rush to apply. I know, not good, LOL. Here's my question. I know it is rare for people to ask for a 6th attempt and possibly hard even to get it approved. My last test was on November 2024, semicolon. I was practice testing 160 to 162 and received a 148 on the exam. I do not know what happened! Exclamation point. Last semester, I didn't realize how stressed I was internally. 2 family members passed, and my significant other lost a grandmother.
Yeah.
This is not. I tell you what your problem is. Your problem is that you were rushing, and every attempt was your last and final attempt. I bet.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that it was always like driven by, I want to apply right now. I'm going to take it right now so I can apply right now. Oops, I didn't do well. Got to take it right now again so that I can apply right now. Oops, didn't do well. Got to take it again right now. And that itself is inherently stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why all this other shit is here. I mean, James, that's a pseudonym, by the way. It's not that I don't like care about people. It's just that everyone has stories like this. So they don't move the ball at all. They don't shit happens to everybody all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What's that have to do with this? Like, what's that have to do with what you do next?
Yeah. Okay, so James continues. I was supposed to take the September LSAT, but pushed it back due to panic attacks and anxiety. So I think that was also brewing in the background.
I want to interrupt again. I see Ben shaking his head.
Yeah.
Do not say any of this in any part of your application materials.
Yeah.
Omit all of it. And also don't put it in emails to people. Omit all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, sometimes people email us shit like that and then later try to apply to work here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's like an immediate deal breaker, but it does not help your case ever.
No.
It's just like excuses and bullshit and whatever, like it happens to everybody. And the older you get, the more it happens to you. Like I was telling Ben just before we did the podcast today, one of my golf buddies over the weekend, all of a sudden just woke up with a detached retina. His fucking retina just fell off in the middle of like a golf weekend. And it's like, yeah, okay, that shit's really stressful when that happens to you, your spouse, your grandma, whatever. But everyone has those stories and they just don't have the effect that you think they have.
Mm-hmm. James continues. I also took the test the day after the election.
Shut up. The
Seriously.
Fuck? What? It's funny because we've been doing this long enough now that like the spidey senses start tingling, right?
Yeah.
The second when someone gets to it's like their first excuse is already like, oh, okay, where are we going with this? And then on the second excuse, it's like, oh, here we go.
It's just they're just coming up with every reason, and then it's like, is it any one of these? It's just everything. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like how one beer might be just one beer. But 2 beers is very frequently like 8 beers. Because it's like once you get going on that path, then it's just there's no incentive to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So now this is all just a bunch of like excuses for, I don't even know why. Like the fact is you used all 5 of your attempts. Your best LSAT is 150 low something. Let's assume 152.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good LSAT for applying to law school. You applied to you applied only to 5 schools. So like, this is not following our advice, which I'm not yelling at you for not following our advice because you might be a brand new listener or whatever, but we would never apply with scores that low. We would never only apply to 5 schools. We would never even take the test if your practice tests weren't better than that. Although on the last one, 160 to 162, maybe that would get James to the kinds of schools he wants to go to at the prices he wants to pay. But, he's that's all in the past. None of that actually matters. We're sort of thinking, okay, what do we do next?
Mm-hmm.
These excuses are all the election is particularly funny, but okay, go ahead.
So James continues, and to his credit, he says, the election isn't a great excuse because I know many did well.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm trying to figure out if I should try for the appeal or if I go on to law school. Don't go to law school. I don't
No.
think you have scholarships. You didn't mention
No.
them. You had 2 rejections. You had 2 acceptances. I'm assuming those are full priced schools. Even
Yeah.
if they're not full priced, where are you in that pricing scheme? Probably not very high. You might be getting a scammership, which is possibly very little, even though maybe they try to make it sound like a lot. So what you need to do is you do need to appeal. You don't want to mention any of these things.
No.
Is there, gosh dang it. What is the best appeal for this?
Well,
I mean, ideally it's something wrong with the proctor,
proctor issue would be great.
as long as it's not a superficial one.
I wonder if anybody has yet tried the format change that happened in the middle of 2024.
Sure, I was preparing for one format. We got a different one. Yeah, I was hoping for more attempts with the new format.
Never know until you appeal. I do think that, I've seen a hell of a lot of people get approved for 6th attempts. Didn't Demon team member Kevin get a 6th attempt?
No, I don't remember specifically, but yes, we've heard a lot of people
Somebody
getting those
did.
attempts.
I
And-
apologize if it wasn't Kevin, but I think somebody on our team even got another attempt.
Yeah.
They don't want hassles, and it really doesn't cost them much. In fact, you probably have to pay for the additional attempt, right? It's not like a free retake. So I don't see why you can't get a successful.
You need a reason, and you need one clear reason.
Yeah.
Not a list of reasons. I would also want to clarify something here. James says, I know it is rare for people to ask for a 6th attempt. Okay, so ask for it. And then if that gets denied, then you want to appeal. It doesn't sound like you've asked for it yet you're asking about the appeal.
Yeah, I think you have to try to register first.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to appeal if you're not allowed to register.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say, try to register, James, but don't do that, because are your practice tests where you want them?
Yeah.
You know,
Based on the scholarship estimator, right?
maybe I would sign up for one pretty far out so that you still have time to reschedule. Although, yeah, I guess if you signed up for August, you would still have all the way until June to change your test date.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you, James, try to sign up for August to find out whether you're going to be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you are allowed, prep hard. Then plan on taking it in August if your practice test scores are where you want them to be. But don't take it in August. Push it if your practice tests aren't where you want them to be by the August registration deadline, which should be sometime in June.
Mm-hmm.
Mid to late June. Hope that helps. I hope we weren't beating James up too bad, but it seems like James needs a bit of tough, serious advice.
Mm-hmm. This next one is from Jesse. That's also a pseudonym. The subject is character and fitness.
Question. Can you please address the character and fitness question on most law school applications or revisit? I unfortunately have a somewhat, quote, colorful past with the law, which includes a federal fraud charge when I was 19 years old, which was 28 years ago. I also have a DUI, which was 15 years ago. And I've been arrested with small amounts of personal use of cocaine and marijuana 8 years ago. I'm now sober. Congratulations, Jesse. I went to rehab in 2019. I went to grad school in 2020, and I received an MFA in the arts, Master of Fine Arts in the Arts, in 2023. My UGPA is 3.155 before the LSAC adjustment. Maybe Jesse doesn't know yet his LSAC UGPA. That's fine. Yes, I'm grinding away on LSAT study! Exclamation point. I would like to attend law school in the state of New York. I'm interested in IP law and public interest law. Those are those are two very different types of law.
They both have the letters I and P in them.
That's like and law, I guess. But other than that, they don't have anything in common at all. So that's interesting. I don't know. Maybe could AI safety be both of those? Sure. I'm looking for tips on writing an addendum and letter of recommendation on my character as of today from my mentor slash spiritual advisor. I should mention I have never been to prison, but I have done small stints in jail, no longer than 30 days. Thanks for your time and consideration. Okay. So Jesse put together the full full portfolio of character and fitness. Well, although I don't see any academic misconduct. Other than that, though, we got the drug charges, we got the DUI, we got a federal fraud charge.
Jeez. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Long time ago. Yeah.
Addendum? Do we need an addendum here, or do we just need to answer the questions that specifically ask about these issues so that you can answer them literally and say nothing more?
I think that maybe we lead people astray when we talk about the idea of a character and fitness addendum. Point well taken. You need to answer the actual questions that are on the applications. That they do not want a 2-page screed that explains away all of your mistakes. That's not helping you. I've seen what those look like. They look like shit. I
was fighting the federal government.
Bad. Oh my God. Yeah. Or just, these things happened, but they weren't really actually my fault. You know, I didn't really do these things that they accused me of. And you're just like explaining this away and explaining that away. And it just doesn't look at all like you think it looks. What advice, Ben, do you have for Jesse?
Well, this is advice that we give a lot. You give a lot. I really got this from you. Call the state bar and try to get a sense of what their reactions are to each of these charges. How would they frame them? What do they think about your chances of being admitted to the bar in your state? Start there.
Yeah, definitely possible that that your state is going to be like, we do not admit people who have had federal charges brought against them.
Or a certain number of charges, or who knows? I don't know.
Or who, I mean, the DUI and the drug charges was a while back, but it's possible. I mean, they take all that shit very seriously. So it's possible that the state bar in your area or wherever you're interested in practicing, they might just be like, no. Get on the phone, call them, talk through each of these issues. Maybe they would be able to refer you to people. They might even have a section that is like, who knows? They might have groups that are related to people trying to rehabilitate their past to continue working in the law or to build legal careers. And they might be able to give you some guidance. Beyond that, I would like to see what the actual character and fitness questions are. And maybe in a future episode, we can talk about what those actual character and fitness questions look like. But it's going to ask you if you've ever if you've ever been arrested and why. If they're going to ask you if you've ever been convicted of crimes.
Yeah, and in almost all these cases, you're going to answer the question literally and precisely with as few words as possible, but complete. I mean, I like this sentence right here. I am now sober. That might be a sentence you add, but that's it. We're not providing excuses or explanations. We're just saying what happened. That's showing full ownership, and then probably reshifting the focus to now. Like, I like the fact that you put 28 years ago, but again, those are facts, and you keep them short. And you're not explaining, oh, I haven't done anything since.
Yeah.
Just leave it as it is.
Ben, Do you think this seems like a situation where it might be worthwhile to go sit down with an actual law school? Because what do you have to lose really if you're Jesse? It kind of seems like there's a high chance that Jesse's just going to not ever be admitted to any law school based on all these past things.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever, if that's true, then we want to find out now. So why not walk into your local, like, why not make an appointment with your local law school and go in and just say, "Hey, I'm not sure whether law school is right for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have these issues in my past. I want to know, I'm sober now and I feel like I've moved on past all of this, but is your school going to see it the same way? Is it worth me even going down this road?
Yeah, that's
Can
a
I
good
meet with
thought.
somebody?"
Yeah, it's a good thought because their incentive is to tell you to apply. So if they are hesitant about encouraging you to apply, that's a red flag.
Yeah. And if they might also just brush you off. They might say yes, but brush you off, which might just mean, yeah, we're going to deny you.
Mm-hmm.
But you might be able to get a sense of it. And if they are willing to sit down with you and look at your actual stuff, and like if they give you a half hour of their time, and I would ask specifically, like I would have their application in my hand. Do some research before you go sit down. Is it even possible to answer this question with this on my record?
Mm-hmm.
Like here's basically what my answer is going to be.
Yeah.
Is that an automatic deny, or is that a very likely deny, or are you going to, how concerned is that going to make you? Because is it worth me spending months of my life, hundreds or thousands of dollars on LSAT prep and law school applications? Is it worth going and getting all these letters of recommendation and signing up for credential assembly service? And, I'm going to spend thousands of dollars here to work on law school applications. Is it something that you would do if you were in my shoes?
Yeah.
And you might get somebody honest enough to say no, or you might get somebody who is going to like actually tell you, yeah, okay, I think all these things are fine. We have had people who have done these. Maybe they can refer you to a current student or alum who had similar issues, who is willing to help students like you,
Mm-hmm.
applicants like you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go get some help. I don't think I would bother studying for the LSAT right now. I think I'd figure out whether this is something that's even feasible at all.
Cool.
Contact the state bar, contact some law schools. All right, next item on our agenda.
Yeah. So let's talk about AI and how how much you can or can't use it in your law school applications. Schools have varying policies, not surprisingly. Some very strict, some very lenient. I'll read a little bit of this right here. So in Thinking LSAT episode 452, called AI and the Future of Law School with Nick Hafen, we interviewed Nick, and there was some discussion there about the use of AI in admissions and how it would be incorporated in law schools in the future. At the time, we knew even less. LSAT Demon team member Braden pulled law school certifications from various law school applications that discuss the use of AI. We wanted to look at some of the different certifications and their attitude towards the use of AI in preparing your application. We are going to start with one here from the University of Utah that's on the more lenient side.
It looks like interim producer Josh has organized these into 3 lenient looking questions and then 2 strict looking questions or certifications. This is just like a box that you have to check to certify that you complied with their policy when writing your shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a lenient one from University of Utah, and if I recall correctly, this was the one that was, I thought, the sensible one.
Okay.
Which means
Yeah.
we should almost talk about it last, but we probably will. This is the good one, I think.
Yeah.
I remember reading this and I was like, oh, good job, you. Like if I was the you, I would be feeling pretty good about myself. It made me think the U is a better school. I read this and I was like, okay, you guys are smart. You guys get it.
Cool.
Because it says,
yeah, go ahead.
it says, please indicate whether you used generative AI in drafting the content of any of your required or optional statements. I understand. So here's the actual certification. I understand I may use generative AI in drafting the content of my statements. If I do use AI in drafting the content of my statements, I understand that I am required to disclose my use of AI and indicate which statements I drafted with the assistance of AI. Very straightforward,
Yep.
non-judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
It's just saying, did you?
And it's
Tell us
explicitly
if you did.
saying you may.
You are allowed to.
We're
Did
not
you?
saying it's good or bad, but it's almost like the people who wrote that understand that we're moving into a future in which
Yeah.
it would be insane not to be using these tools and, in fact, disrespectful to your clients. You just wrote a brief for me. Thank you very much. That cost me thousands of dollars. Did you have AI check it for any missed ideas or anything else? No. We don't do that. It all comes straight from my mind. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Fired.
I'm not sure whether if I was you, I would go one step further and I would have
Mm-hmm.
a box that allowed the student to explain their use of AI.
Mm-hmm. So you
Like
can learn
I
from
would
it.
want to hear, like, tell me exactly what tools you used and exactly how you used them.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that I thought was good about this, so I'm less excited about it if it's just a checkbox.
Sure.
But if it's a checkbox with also, if yes, please explain, and then they're gonna, because when I read it the first time, I was like, oh, they understand that they don't know everything about this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ones that are like, you are absolutely forbidden, it's like, okay, then you guys are dumbasses. Like you just don't know you don't understand what's going on here. If you like, you think it's just actively bad that anybody used AI to do anything, then you don't get it.
Yep. Yeah, you don't get it.
So anyway, I thought that, so very lenient policy. They seem like they might be just totally morally ambivalent. Like they just don't care. They might not judge one way or the other. I guess it's also possible that they're putting that there and then they're going to discriminate against people who say yes. But it
Or
seems quite unlikely that that's what they're going to do.
so if I were one of their admissions officers and someone did not check yes, so they're saying they didn't use generative AI, I feel very confident in my ability to sniff out generative AI content that has not been well edited afterward. There are very common tells
Mm.
that someone has sent you an email that they obviously ran through ChatGPT. I don't mind that at all because that's a way to work, but you can tell when someone did not go through and edit it themselves. It's repetitive. It says certain things that people just don't normally say. If that's the case, that's an immediate deny. They're lying.
Oh, if they lie to you. Okay, yeah, that's cool. And there might actually just be automated tools. In fact, I think there are automated tools that can detect use of AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you say no, and then the automatic detector says yes,
Mm-hmm.
then that might be a red flag. I would also red flag it. Like if it says no, if you say no, and then it's like poorly done, it's almost like two strikes, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I told you you could use AI.
And you
You
didn't.
could use Grammarly, you could use ChatGPT, you could use whatever the fuck you want, and you didn't, and this thing sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Just a denial stamp.
Yep.
Anyway, you want to compare to the other
Yeah.
prompts? Why don't
Yeah,
you read
so
this
this-
next one, Arizona State?
It has a drop-down question asking which resources you use to prep your statement. One option in that drop-down is AI. No other statement on the permissibility on the use of AI is given. Okay.
Consider what they might be doing on the back end if they wanted to learn. They would be, okay, let's grade these personal statements on a scale of 1 to 10. And then let's compare the score of the people who said they used AI to the people who didn't use AI.
Mm-hmm.
Just so we can learn if they're better or worse.
This makes me think of an article I sent you the other day from The Economist, but it talks about how people using AI, there's really this divide happening, and that is that if you have some talent, the AI is making you better. But if you don't have any talent, it's making you worse because you're just mindlessly accepting whatever it gives you. I could totally see a variety of students who are using AI to make their application statements better, and they're a lot better than they would have been. And then other people who are just verbatim taking whatever the AI gave them, whatever dumb ideas it gave them too, and it's making their applications worse than if they had just written it themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This next one is from UNLV. Yeah.
I'm thinking about, like, fifth, sixth, seventh grade, high school. There's so much busy work that teachers give. And it's almost savvy to use AI to just like do a busy work assignment.
Hmm.
Like, if they're not going to read it anyway, if they're not going to like genuinely engage with the substance of what I'm doing, I might fully understand that I'm not going to get anything out of it if I just have AI do the assignment for me. I also wasn't going to get anything out of it if I was going to like do the bare minimum and half-ass it
Mm-hmm.
and do a really shitty job of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't going to get anything out of it if I do nothing at all. And if I just use AI to complete the assignment successfully, and if they don't catch me, well, then I've jumped through one more academic hoop. And if we think about just the signaling value of education, it's like the more A's you can just assemble on your record,
Mm-hmm.
the better, right? So it's almost like, to the extent that people are just giving you dumbass busy work that you weren't going to learn anything from anyway, then I don't know that I mind people cheating by using AI.
Hmm.
On the other hand, if the teacher is like, I'm going to be able to tell if you used AI on this report, I'm going to actually read this stuff. I'm going to catch you if you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do it. Yeah, then, now if somebody uses it and gets caught, I don't have any sympathy for them either. Anyway, one more lenient prompt.
Yeah, this is from UNLV.
Says, by transmitting the application electronically, I certify that the information I provided in this application is complete and correct, semicolon, and that this information, including any supporting materials, is my own work, semicolon, and that I did not receive any undue assistance from others, comma, including undue assistance from any artificial intelligence platforms. That's funny, undue assistance.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Without a definition of undue assistance, that one has no teeth whatsoever. I would be like, what? It wasn't undue for me to upload my resume and my transcript to ChatGPT and upload your question to ChatGPT and have ChatGPT write this prompt, write the response for me.
Yeah.
Now, I went through it and I edited it, of course, because you have to.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call that undue assistance. They might call that undue assistance.
I thought this was interesting. It started with by transmitting the application electronically. Like, they're really in the lawyer mindset, right? Like, they
It's just
need
boilerplate lawyer speak. Yeah.
Yeah, they needed that action. Like, oh, you're taking an action, and by doing that, we now have caught you.
Or they had ChatGPT write that question for them. Like, because that does just feel like lawyer boilerplate, the type of preambles that people would put in.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about those semicolon and that they did twice? I think that's wrong, right?
Yeah, the first and is incorrect. The use of semicolon for this list is correct because they have commas within their items, but the first and is unnecessary.
Because the semicolon implies
Yeah, just like any
and.
list, A, B, C, A, B, and C. You don't say A, N, B, and C.
But you would use the last one because it's the last one.
Yep, exactly.
Cool. All right. So here's a couple strict policies. You want to read this one from Duke?
Yep. I certify that all information submitted as part of my application is true and complete to the best of my knowledge, and that my personal statement and all of the writing samples are my own work, written without the assistance of generative artificial intelligence.
Okay. Note that it doesn't just say without the assistance of artificial intelligence, because in that case, then you're definitely not allowed to use Grammarly or, boy.
Yeah. So they were a little more savvy than some folks. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because who knows what artificial intelligence means, but generative artificial intelligence means like an LLM that's going to be writing for you.
Yep.
And I can see why they might be like, okay, let's see what these people can do if they don't use Gen AI at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that that's like I don't think that that's strictly bad, but I still like an application that sort of allows people to use it just to see what people will come up with.
No, because yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. People have to learn how to use these tools and deliver the best
Yeah.
product.
It could very likely be, at this point, right? It's early 2025, very early days of this coming explosion of various types of artificial intelligence. But it's very possible that the people in the admissions office at Duke are not savvy in generative artificial intelligence, and they at least see that as a blind spot. So they're like, okay, let's just make sure people don't use it. That way everybody's on a level playing field because we
Mm-hmm.
just don't know what we're even dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect that to the extent that it reflects their own self-awareness. I don't respect it to the extent that they think it's cheating. Like if they if they're like making a judgment that goes along with this, if they're like, "Oh, Gen AI is bad," then this seems really misguided.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, one more strict one from University of Southern California.
I also declare that this is my own original work and that I have not used any artificial intelligence platforms to create any portion of the application.
Yeah, so now there, I feel like that is more problematic. Truth is, they probably just didn't put that much thought into it.
No, they just wrote a really strong statement.
They worded that so strongly that like, are you allowed to use a word processor? Are you allowed to? Am I allowed to use spell check? Can I use a thesaurus, an online thesaurus? Can I use Grammarly to do a squiggly under the sentence that's bad?
Well, even just think about Googling. Uh, what topics should I incorporate into my personal statement? Automatically, Google is now giving you a generative AI
Right at
response.
the top, yeah.
You've now violated this clause, technically.
Yeah. Maybe they mean when they say to create any portion of the application, maybe they intended to refer to generative AI.
Mm-hmm.
Like the words were not written by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, there's some food for thought. Let's move on. Word of the week. This is from Billy, Demon team member. He also heads the Ask team. If you ever have questions and you want to submit a question, his team is the one responding to you. Do you want to take the word?
Okay, so the word of the week, Ben, is crestfallen. If I were to give you only the word, what do you know? What do you know about the word crestfallen, or what do you think you know about the word crestfallen?
Well, I do know this word, but I mean, it's also it's a very visual word, right? Crestfallen. Well, maybe actually I'm just imposing that on there because I know the definition, but I think of your chest
Hmm.
collapsing, right? Like you're,
Hmm. Yeah. It to me, people would use that word. Yeah, you're 1/10 of a second off of qualifying for at the Olympic trials or something.
mm-hmm,
You're crestfallen because you were. It sounds like the word crest would be like a peak.
mm-hmm.
It's like you fell from a peak.
Interesting.
So a synonym might be, how would you feel when you fall from a peak? You would feel sad, you would feel disappointed, you would feel hurt. It's like you almost made it, but then you didn't. That's to me what crestfallen means. We have context though. This is paraphrased from an email that a team member got from William and Mary, which few of our different team members got. They erroneously sent acceptance emails to applicants and then rescinded those acceptances.
Oops.
And this is what they said.
Wait, hold on. I got to add a little more context. This is not the first time William and Mary has done this, supposedly.
Oh, really?
It happened last year too.
No shit.
That's what the team was saying in Slack. If that's true, that's crazy.
I missed that part of the discussion somehow. That makes me think that it's a work.
Strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many people jumped at the bit and took the offer and they're like, okay, you're willing to pay full price? Thank you.
They're like, hey, we accidentally did this last year. Ooh, that makes me want to ask what's the deal with William and Mary Law School.
Although, could you really keep doing this every year? Seems like people.
You might be able to do it 2 years in a row accidentally. And if nobody talks about it, you might be able to keep doing it. It could just be Who knows? Maybe there's one rogue actor inside William and Mary admissions. They might have done this accidentally last year and then had a really good admission cycle, and the guy got promoted.
He's like, oh, here's the secret
He's like,
sauce.
I got the magic. They might also just be like, okay, so we need those same results this year.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck. I'm going to go back to the well one more time. The bluff worked last round. Why the bluff should work again? So what did they say when they for apparently the second year in a row admitted people and then snatched back the offer?
Yep. So this is the follow-up email. It says, I am crestfallen that this incident undermined the degree of professionalism we seek to uphold.
Yeah. It seems sad, bummed,
Yeah.
I
demoralized.
fucked up.
Yeah.
It does also, it's a very it's kind of a lofty sounding word,
Mm-hmm.
because to me it does have the mountain crest falling type of thing where it's like, I'm so proud to be where we are, and I'm so proud of the job we do here at William and Mary, and now I'm crestfallen that we really fucked up.
It's interesting that you keep talking about the mountain and I don't know where I'm getting this, but when I read the word crestfallen, I immediately think it has to do with your chest
Because
deflating.
crest and chest sound the same.
Maybe. I don't know why,
be.
but it's like this sense of like you're almost hunching over because
Could be.
you've lost that pride or, confidence.
Could be. Definition of crestfallen, at least according to the dictionary here in Google Docs, it says sad and disappointed. Synonyms include downhearted, downcast, despondent, disappointed, disconsolate, disheartened, a whole bunch of dis words. It can mean in the doldrums, or fed up, or taken aback, or down in the mouth, or chapfallen. Definitely never heard that word before. Etymology would be really interesting here.
Yeah. It says that it started in the late 16th century, originally with reference to a mammal or bird having a fallen or drooping crest.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Right. So, like a peacock, a sick peacock whose tail is now, you can tell it's not healthy because the whole point of the peacock display is to display health.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's not working. And
Okay.
and any kind of a sick looking dog, its crest has fallen. So yeah, Ben, your chest thing kind of sounds right? Like somebody coming up to you with like real bad posture and saggy
Yeah.
shoulders and all that.
Yeah.
They look crestfallen.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we next week should dig in a little bit to William and Mary Law to figure out what's going on there, because I would love to know what the deal is at William and Mary Law School, especially after this.
Yeah, great idea. Be LSAT famous. Please ask questions or share news with us on our website, thinkinglsat.com, or on our socials at LSAT Demon. If you have questions about the LSAT Demon, you can email our amazing help team at help@lsatdemon.com. You can also check out our other podcast, LSAT Demon Daily. That was episode 495 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.